MyMichelleLive Podcast.
My Michelle Live. Sports Timeout. The fans, the field, the faith, the fun. Here's Michelle.
Yeah, I am, but I am not alone. The team has assembled and we are ready to play. We're going to be doing some sports commentary today. Let me introduce you to the fellas on the team today. We have with us author, photographer, writer, Brent R. Baker.
Photographer, Brent R. Baker.
Oh, the mighty good man. And then we have with us the Wookie of the Year, Josh McMillen.
Wookie of the Year, Josh McMillen.
Now, you're going to ask yourself if you're watching where Josh is. It is like with any Wookiee, with any Sasquatch. It's a rare sighting. It really is. But you really are there, Josh, right?
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, we do have to debate.
You'll have to talk to my
We do
lawyer.
have to debate whether or not you exist.
I believe. I just want you to know, I believe. And we'll be joined in a few minutes by pastor, coach, chaplain, and player Garrick Pang.
Get ready to get...
That's right. We'll get pinged in just a few moments. But
Please
first,
contact my lawyer with any further questions regarding my existence.
he's a figment of our imagination, but we're delighted to have you with us. All right. So we're going to start, guys, with women in sports. We'll go through a few sports stories just to get our listeners, viewers on the same page. First, Vleuten has won the Women's Tour de France. And now it's her first time winning, but Tour de France has been on hiatus. And a lot of people didn't know that, yes, the Women's Tour de France is back in. It is a thing once again. It is so beautiful watching the scenery. And ladies and gentlemen, and I did say the band phrase, ladies and gentlemen, a real woman has won the Tour de France for women. So, ta-da, there you go. From golfing, wanted to let you know that Ayaka Furu, am I saying that right, Brent?
Beats me.
Okay.
I've seen it in writing. I have not heard it.
Right?
spoken.
A lot of times you read these things. She shot 62 to win the Women's Scottish Open for the first LPGA win, so another first. And by the way, women are doing better and better. AIG Women's Open purse is up 26%. The winner is going to receive $1.1 million. I love seeing that it's increasing, viewership is increasing, interest is increasing. And that's where I say, let's just keep women playing other women. And if you identify as a golf ball and you think you can just roll into any hole, I'm thinking maybe you should just have a special league of your own. But for women who have fought very hard for what they have, I'm excited for that. Any thoughts, guys?
I think it's always good when you see these purses increase, and it's based upon it's done organically as you see the market growing for these things.
Yeah.
It's not being mandated or sued into existence. And if you watch the quality of play, I think especially on the women's side, you see the increased skill levels in all sports over the years, just as you've seen the effects of Title IX and such things take root more deeply. I think I can tell you, like a sport like high school softball in Michigan, they started with the fast pitch version of the game in 1976. In Washington, it really didn't take root. They had slow pitch, but they didn't take root till 2000. And when we moved from Michigan to Washington, the difference in skill level was amazing. And a lot of it was because you had 50, 60 years of history and coaching and development, whereas in Washington, it was much more, the history was a lot shorter. So I think as you're seeing the growth of women's sports,
it's pretty
because
exciting.
You're seeing all this stuff growing organically, and better coaching and better players, better athletes, more knowledge of the game, to where it's happening because people like it and people like watching it.
I'm going to
Yeah,
ask you,
I'm
Josh,
I'm
to
right there
weigh in.
with you on that.
But
Like,
Josh, before you say, I not only do I want to get your thoughts, but I know you're the father of two little girls. So I want to get your opinion as a sports commentator, but also the opinion of a dad of some young girls.
yeah, I'll say I 100% agree with Brent. It's good to see this when it's organic, when it's coming because of the increased demand for it. One of my biggest pet peeves about the US women's soccer, things like that is, or even WNBA, like, yes, they should be paid at the right proportion, but like, the WNBA is subsidized. And what if 90% of the people that were out there complaining that they're not paid as much as the men went to games for the WNBA and watched games for the WNBA and supported their teams for the WNBA, then they would have as much money. But
Oops.
the reality is, a lot of the people that are complaining about that don't support these sports. So they're letting, like, use your dollars to support the people you want to support. If you don't want to watch the NBA and you want the WNBA to succeed, then go watch the WNBA, because the WNBA is currently funded by the NBA. They're not, they don't make a huge profit, which is why the players don't make a profit. But when you see something like this, where they're making more because there's more demand, because more people are watching it, that's what you want to see. And that's how you want the sport to grow.
Boom. Come on, common sense. But then who uses that crap anymore? Common sense, right? Where do you find it? With inflation, it's hard to get anymore. Another story out of the women's sports world is Brittany Griner, and she has been sentenced to 9 years in a prison in Russia. Oh, but can we add insult to injury? Russia says, yeah, no deal. We're not swapping. No swap for the arms trafficker that here, we'll give you an arms trafficker for a basketball player, right? Come on, who's coming up on out on top with that? Well, of course they are, but they still say no deal. What is up with this? All politics? What's going on? Josh,
No,
let's
of
start
course
with
it's
you.
politics. It's 100% politics. Look, Russia's in the middle of war with Ukraine. They're wanting to position themselves as the dominant superpower in the world right now. They want to act like they're the big tough guy. This is par for the course for that. It's not something that is really shocking. They're going to try to pull their weight and they're going to say, no, we want more. More? Just the way it is. And unfortunately, Brittany Griner is caught in the crossroads.
If she were like, I don't know, a Marine or somebody that, was accused of spying, do you think anyone would care?
That's one of the things. Like, how many of us heard of Paul Whelan before Brittany Griner
Right.
got you know? So I think, I mean, hey, politics aside, I don't like her politics. I don't like some of the things she did while she was here, but I would not wish this on my worst enemy. She was foolish in not being aware of what she had to do in Russia as far as
Do you
her.
really believe that? Come on,
Well,
Brent.
I'm not saying she didn't know. I'm saying
No.
whatever happened, she was foolish. But this
Okay.
is something that, let's just say, I wished it was someone who was actually like a violent felon. But the fact of the matter is, if you're a high profile athlete, let's call it what it is. She's a black lesbian woman. And so she is probably as large a target as you could possibly be. And I think this was totally something that was anticipated and planned by the Russians because they saw an opportunity to make a statement. And she's just, regardless of her contribution to what happened, she's totally being used as a pawn
Yeah, she
by the
is.
Russians,
And right, it's
frankly, by
sad,
our own
but
government too.
okay.
Like I
Okay.
said, I wouldn't wish this on my
No.
worst enemy where she's at.
But come on. I think there's an air of entitlement there. Oh, I can just get this in. She knew that she was bringing something, or she says, oh, I forgot it was in my bag. And then the other story was it's a medical thing. Then you go through the proper channels. I think that
Oh,
we have
totally.
this idea of
It's totally foolish
entitlement.
on her part.
Of course it is.
But
And I think
but
there's an
10
entitlement
10
too.
years in a Russian prison, I'm not going to wish on her or
I
anyone.
don't know. I'm not saying that I wish it on her,
Yeah.
but maybe before she comes back, she might want to recant some of the America sucks stuff. I'll give you an example. Another story Iman Schuper was arrested in a Texas airport for pot possession. He's an NBA player, of course, and he was arrested at the Dallas Fort Worth International Airport for trying to bring 6 ounces of cannabis through security. Do you think he's going to spend nearly 10 years in a prison?
I gotta step away for a second, guys. I'll be right back.
Okay. Do you think that, and that's not a commentary, it's just he really had to step away for a minute. Do you think that he's going to, no, he's not going to. And that's where we may just want to rethink that, Brittany. Before you come back, before we make this trade, you might want to just recognize what a freaking great nation that you were dissing, turning your back on, dissing the national anthem, saying how bad things are. And really, as a Black lesbian athlete, you have so many more rights, so many more protections, so much more free speech and ability to rise up than anywhere in the world. And maybe I don't want nine years in prison for anyone in Russia. No, but I'm thinking maybe a week or two more until she can get her head around how blessed she really is may not hurt. I'm not afraid of a little bit of hard times, because it seems like trials bring patience, endurance, strength, and strength character, the Bible says.
Yeah, I think if I were in her position with her history, if assuming that I survived the experience, which speaking for myself, I don't know if I would, but I think I might come out of there saying I've said some terrible things about my country, and many of them I still believe, but at the same time, I value the fact that I live in a country where I can say those things. People fought and died so that we could express our opinion about our country. And that's something that I hold as a very high value about what this country's about. But I guess we'll just have to see how it plays out, because obviously none of us can do much for her.
Sure. And it's the old conversation that we've had again and again. And I found this article that I think highlights it fairly well from Epoch Times, that politics and sports has always been a toxic mix. You have, in one regard, they were citing how South African people, athletes, were not able to compete in certain sports because of apartheid, but yet North Korean athletes could compete, and other athletes from other areas that were creating not only issues but human atrocities, they could compete. And so there's complete inconsistency in sports and in who you're going to hold accountable. I know in tennis they've said, wait a minute, you can't hold an individual responsible for the actions of their government. It's not their fault, unless it has to do with vaccines. But so it's wild. It really is.
As with anything else, you still are having to do with human nature, and being the sinful creatures that we are, it seeps into all of our systems and our opinions and our lack of consistency on just about everything.
Yeah, it does. And I'm going to give you a few examples of how some of the politics have gotten just weird and unfortunate. One gentleman that we've talked a lot about is Enes Kanter Freedom, and he believes that he's being blackballed by the NBA. He has some pretty strong views on America, on standing up for the flag and against China. And he says it's that, particularly that China connection, that has gotten him blackballed. And I'm pretty outraged by it. But at the same time, do I have the right to be if I've been pretty harsh on other athletes that have, I don't know, kneeled during the national anthem?
Yeah. And honestly, I'm not in any NBA boardrooms to just figure out if he's actually being blackballed or not. But the emphasis on social justice in the NBA is very selective, and they have probably 9 figures, maybe even into the billions of dollars tied up in the Chinese market. And so when you say things that cost your company money, you're going to probably pay a price, even if you're right. I have so much respect for him and his willingness to sacrifice his career. And there's just a way that he's gone about it that has gained my respect, because I don't think that I would even really be aware that much of the treatment of the Uyghurs in China, however you say that, another word that I can read but not
Uyghurs.
say.
Yeah, I think it's Uyghurs.
Yeah. He, to me, there's just a level of respect that he brings to the discussion that I've not seen maybe in some other social justice circles. And unfortunately, it hasn't gotten him very far. But hey, more power to you, Ennis. I hope he finds a home. Maybe with one of those teams that has had executives that have been criticized and canceled for speaking out against China, and then
Well,
all of a sudden finding their patient in team ownership or management jeopardized.
sure. And this is where again we have the continuing stories in sports where someone's politics has colored their vision so completely that that's all they can see. Two stories I want to bring before you. Herschel Walker told someone from NBC that was commenting on him that they need Jesus. And boy, is it true. The contributor said Herschel is what GOP wants from their Negroes. Ew. That's
Really?
yeah, check this
I
out.
hadn't heard
I'm
that one.
showing it on screen. A
Uh,
political insider, that's what they want from their Negroes. Georgia Senate candidate Herschel Walker. He used to play in the NFL. And he said that Ellie Mistel had called him clearly unintelligent and what Republicans want from their Negroes.
it's sad to say, but honestly, I have never seen anything more racist until I've seen liberals interacting with a conservative Republican that is black. Like I see it left and right. It's ridiculous. You look at like with the whole Roe v. Wade thing, you see how people reacted and how they specifically targeted the one conservative justice that didn't write the opinion that is black.
Yes, yes,
And the
yes.
awful things I've never seen the N-word thrown around so much on Twitter.
No,
With them talking
no.
about him.
And you know what
Like
it looks
if you don't step in line, then you suddenly you're an Uncle Tom. It's awful things I don't want to repeat that I've seen said about conservative black men specifically. It's completely ridiculous.
and when we've seen this kind of conversation before, guys, we saw this kind of conversation before as the issue of slavery was debated. You talk about, especially where abortion is concerned, we saw this kind of outrage and ugliness because people were vehemently making the argument for abortion. It's my plantation, my choice. Slavery is going to happen anyway. We need to make it safe and legal. What kind of life is it for slaves outside of the plantation? We're just doing the right thing. Same arguments all across the board. And this is what happens when people want to defend their sin. It's putting a band-aid on guilt. There's another story too that you guys may want to weigh in on as long as we're in this field. And that's where a pro Hall of Famer, Warren Moon, called Kyler Murray's homework clause, we talked about last week, a slap in the face to all African American quarterbacks. So Kyler Murray had what they're calling a homework clause that said you had to go back and you need to study some of the plays and you have to spend this much time. And they're saying that it's a slap in the face to African Americans. Why?
First of all, I will say that clause in his contract, either they were having problems with him being prepared for games, or it's one of the most ridiculous things that's ever been inserted into a pro quarterback's quarter contract. I don't think we really know the full story behind that.
But does it seem on the surface racist?
But to immediately, I love Warren Moon. I have so much respect for him, but to immediately bring race into the conversation, I need to know a lot more before I'm going to even say that was a factor here. Either Kyler Murray has a serious issue being prepared for games, or the Arizona team has significant issues. And one of the questions I have about this is
or both.
Or both, yeah. But how does this agent allow this into the contract?
Yeah, and so
there's a lot.
So maybe the agent is racist.
And I wonder what really happened there.
It has been removed. Then you could say maybe his agent is racist. But this is where we are inserting our politics into absolutely everything and anything that we can skirt under the guise of it's the race. We pull out the race card and we become the little boy who cries wolf, racist wolf all the time. And when it really does happen, and racism does happen, it doesn't have the bite anymore because we don't know what's real and what's not. So knock it off, kids. Come on. Let's talk about. Oh, go ahead,
in this
Joshy.
particular case, I think we know that Kyler has issues with that because he's even said as much when he's asked about reviewing tape. He said, I have the God-given ability to just go out there and observe what's happening and make those decisions real time when he was asked about watching tape. So we know he has a problem with watching tape that he himself has admitted, although he's saying it's a strength of his, not a weakness. But you also see it on the field. Every year that they've started out strong and then teams adapt and he doesn't adapt back because he's not watching the film.
Yeah.
Because he's not doing the work to be able to adapt and get past what defenses are now preparing for him. And that's why you see them fall off year after year. So I think that it's ridiculous, yes, but it's also justifiable. And it's just going to be the way it is. Arizona's kind of a joke. Kyler, he's phenomenally talented, but reminds me of a Seattle legend we had here in Felix Hernandez, who physically dominant, just incredible pitcher who refused to adapt in the latter half of his career. And so his career has effectively ended early. You look at who's someone else that came in at the same time as Felix Hernandez. Justin Verlander is still one of, if not the best pitcher in baseball. He's consistently dominant year after year. Why? Because he's adapted. He's gone from the physically dominant guy and he still has dominant stuff. Don't get me wrong. He still physically can do it, but he sits down and he watches the film. He sits down and does the study. He has transitioned into that part of his career. And you have to do that. You have to do that in professional sports. You can get away with that at a lot of levels, being physically talented. You can even get away with it for a couple of years at the top level. But if you want to have a long career and you want to have that stability, even through a season, you need to be able to sit down, watch the film, and do the work.
Well, that is one of the most racist statements I have ever heard on sports.
Yeah, how dare I?
How dare you? Whoa, what's happening here? Something's happening here.
Hey,
There's something happening here. If you are viewing, you just saw it. There it is. If it wasn't fun enough to try to get a rare appearance of the Wookie, we are getting the one and only Garrick Pang. I promised you eventually we would get panged, and indeed we are. Welcome, Garrick. You're a talking head now, and we are sports timing out. Garrick Pang is a pastor. He is a sports commentator, a player, and a chaplain. And welcome to the mix, Garrick. I think he just left us. After that big lead up, are you kidding me? Let's take on a couple of other stories.
I'm so sorry. I am up here at, I can't even remember the lake. I'm at this beautiful lake right near Mount Baker, and my coverage is terrible. So I'm walking out of my car back towards the house where we have Wi-Fi.
Which has nothing to do with sports whatsoever.
Now.
I don't know what that
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now, Garrick.
Okay,
welcome
good.
to the game. We're glad to have you playing. We're transitioning to the NFL right now and going through just a few news stories.
Did you guys talk baseball already?
Not yet. We saved it for you.
Okay, good.
We
good.
saved it
All
for
right.
you. All right. NFL. The Commanders owner, Dan Snyder, is testifying before a House committee today about their bad behavior. How far do you think that's going to go? NFL has suspended Dolphins owner Ross for tampering with Brady and Peyton. Did you hear this story where they were talking when they shouldn't be talking, and so they didn't find that they found that, or believe they didn't lose and suck on purpose. They just sucked organically. So good for them. But they were talking when they shouldn't be talking. Did you hear this, Josh?
I did not know.
Yeah, there you go. Another story. Oh, I'll get your thoughts. All of you are fathers, right? So you might be blessed to hear that Tom Brady was opening up about his parenting to the NFL world. And he was saying that it's really difficult being a parent. You got to be there 24/7. But the hardest thing for me is teaching my kids how to live in the real world because we've got people who cook their food and drive them to school and take them to the airport and clean their room. So, trying to teach them how to be real is one of the most difficult things about parenting. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to even tell you what I'm thinking. I'm going to get y'all to weigh in on this. And Garrick, since you just came in and you're there at that gorgeous lake and showing us, which I think is rude, I'd like for you to weigh in. See if we can hear you.
My connection is spotty.
We've got you now.
So
Don't move.
I
Don't
missed
even
most
breathe.
of
We've
your-
got you.
I know, right? I think I'm connected.
What
Go
are your
ahead.
what
Someone
are your
else
thoughts?
weigh in, and then I'll
Okay.
Well,
keep talking
I
about.
think we always know that for some of these top level athletes that are multimillionaires, that they're, and it's not just athletes, but certainly them, there's definitely a detachment from reality that most people live in. Yeah, when you have cooks and cleaners and chauffeurs and staff to manage your affairs, it's just a whole different life. So
Well, Josh,
in
you
that
have all
context,
that.
trying to teach them to be real, I would say, okay, give your staff a month off,
How hard is that? How hard is that? Oh, yeah. Okay. We're going to teach you real. You don't get an allowance. You're going to walk your butts to school. Josh, I know you have a maid and a cook and chauffeur. So, how do you do that with your kids?
I just sleep in and let my staff take care of it.
And your wife is going, oh, no, you don't. Yeah, just saying. Other news stories. Cleveland Browns owner claims Deshaun Watson is remorseful for his actions. And yet, the quarterback was suspended 6 games because of some things that took place with women that this article says is too horrific to even mention. What's 6 games? I'm thinking with the 6 game suspensions here, or make it, how do you really weigh out the depravity of a person versus how good they are on the field? How do you do that?
I just feel like it should not be a factor of how good you are on the field. If you break the law, if you do things that are not okay, then there should be specific consequences for those actions. And it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, the sad reality is that's not how life works, unfortunately, because, you can be the president of the United States. And so anyway, that's a whole nother different
Right? I wanted to take our football conversation, unless there's anyone getting really excited for preseason and for spring training. Have you guys witnessed anything that you just could not wait to share with our friends?
I just think that it's there are going to be some exciting first week matchups with Russell Wilson coming back to Seattle, and with the Panthers with Baker Mayfield returning to Cleveland. So it's going to be really an interesting first week of the season, at least in a few markets.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Josh to go with me to that first game with the Denver and Seahawks.
Yeah, that's in Seattle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in Seattle. You in, Josh?
If you won't go, I'll go.
Awesome. Awesome. Speaking of the Seahawks, Pete Carroll is recovering from COVID, which doesn't make sense because he's vaccinated and boosted. What is going on there? As far as the vaccine is concerned, fingers crossed, Djokovic is really hopeful he compete in the U.S. Open, even though he's not willing to get the jab. And we know what happened in Australia. And then there is the issue with Major League Baseball and how they're having to deal with choosing players based on location. If you're not going up to Canada, for example, for the foreseeable future for games, then that's fine if you choose to be unvaccinated. But for some of the teams that are going up to Canada, they have to either be vaccinated or quarantined for 14 days. This is starting to get crazy and I think completely unfair.
Starting to get crazy.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's getting crazier and completely unfair. And I didn't mean to take light about Pete Carroll's having COVID once again. But the fact that these vaccines, our own president has had COVID and then got healed from COVID and then is rebounding with COVID. And the truth of the matter is these things are dangerous. And I wanted to play just a moment of film that they've put together that really shows
Help us to
what's
urge
going on.
folks and say to them, look, it's time to roll up your sleeves and get the shot. And if you already have, let's talk to somebody else we know who hasn't and let them know now is the time to get this done. And the bottom line is that getting vaccinated is safe. We, I think, all embrace, whatever our background, the spirit of love thy neighbor. And getting vaccinated is truly an extension of that. And it's about not only our neighbor next door, it's about the man on the side of the street. It's about seeing in the face of a perfect stranger, a friend, and interacting with them in that spirit.
Yeah, and what you were seeing on the screen, if you were just listening, are people going into convulsions, a teenager dying within 15 minutes of getting the shot. These are really happening. And beyond that, or maybe back it up just a little bit to a less severe issue is, our president, our vice president, Fauci himself, Pete Carroll have all gotten vaccinated and have all gotten COVID. You can get it and you can spread it, and yet we're still requiring it in sports, Josh?
Yeah, it's all ridiculous. And a side note, Kamala Harris is the most difficult public speaker to listen to in the history of public speakers, and how she's that bad at the position of vice president is just shocking. It's so difficult to listen to.
I think every word of that was filmed separately and patched together.
I wish that was true. I
I
really
know.
do. But that's
No,
just
I'm
how
just
she
saying,
speaks.
otherwise it would have been worse.
It may have been better. Politics aside, regardless of her politics, she is so hard to listen to. She is the queen of speaking for 30 minutes and saying absolutely nothing. Badly.
And Josh,
Anyway, I think it is ridiculous to require it at this point. We're at the point where COVID is no longer, it was never deadly for everyone. If you look at the numbers, even the initial wave, it was deadly for certain segments with comorbidities, but for the vast majority, it was not a deadly virus. And the way these viruses work is every mutation, they typically get slightly more contagious, but slightly less effective, because a virus wants to live. And the way a virus lives is by being able to contaminate a bunch of people. And as people grow immunity, they have to reduce so that it can keep on living and spreading and growing. And that's the way it is. That's the way it works. And we're at the point where it is not much more than a cold, like a bad cold or a easy flu. I had it a couple of weeks ago. I basically napped more for a couple of days.
Well, part of the problem is that again, the information isn't being communicated accurately. They're saying if you've been vaccinated, your symptoms will be less. And I have quite a few vaccinated friends who have had awful symptoms. And because I have a heart condition, I haven't been vaccinated. And also because I had COVID early on, I had it recently, and it was not anything more than, as you said, just a cold. And so I think that the problem is that it's coming back to money again.
And politics and power.
And, yeah. So anyway,
Control.
let's get back to sports.
Let's get back to sports. In
Yeah,
fact, this
We
is
have a pandemic of the quadruple vaccinated now. So
let's just get back to sports, shall we? It's time to take on baseball. My, oh my. It just continues. My. Hey, it's time for us to get an update, not just on Major League Baseball, which is pretty exciting, but America's underdog team. So we're going to get a Mariners update in just a moment. But were some other cool stories. Homered in the first Major League Baseball at bat with the Dodgers. And that was really cool. If you watch that game, they topped the Rockies 7-3. I love seeing that. That was so cool. Can you imagine your very first at bat for Major League Baseball? Boom, there you are hitting a home run. Come freaking on.
it's
What
all
could
downhill from there.
Yeah, it's all downhill from that. Thank you. You're the bright spot today, aren't you there, Brent?
There's always a wet blanket in every parade.
The Angels, by the way, tied the Major League Baseball record for 7 solo home runs, which was really cool as they were playing the Athletics, but they still lost, which sucks. So it's a bittersweet thing. And of course, the America's underdog team, the Seattle Mariners, rallied late and end their losing streak to the Astros after they had a crazy awesome winning streak. Let's get an update. We'll start with Josh, our very own Mariners fan incarnate.
Yeah, how about those Mariners, boys and girls? They just won for the first time since 2016 a series in New York against the New York Yankees.
I know.
How about that? Minus Julio Rodriguez, minus Ty France, Haniger still not back yet. Some of their biggest hitting power gone. And even in that last game, they put a 6 spot up on one of the best pitchers in the league in Garrett Cole in that first inning. These Mariners getting it done, going on a really tough road trip against the Houston Astros, against the New York Yankees, the top 2 teams in baseball right now. Those are the 2 best teams in baseball. We won one of the series, avoid the swept in the other. That is totally acceptable. 3 and 4 for that road trip. That's a real good return on investment there, especially given how easy our schedule is most of the way. We face the Yankees one more time after the Angels, but a good series coming up. And this team, by the way, made one of the biggest trades at the trade deadline here, trading for Luis Castillo, who is another one of the best pitchers in baseball. In the words of Scott Service, he's a dude.
He's a dude.
He's a dude. And it was
That's funny.
awesome
That's what I
to get
say
to
about
watch
you
him
guys.
pitch. And we got our guys coming back. It's looking really good for Mariners right now, who currently are in possession of a wild card spot. Again, have a good schedule coming up and are getting healthy. Taylor Trammell on his way back. Julio Rodriguez should be back after his 10-day IL stint. Dylan Moore should be. Haniger could be available as early as this weekend. More likely Monday because AAA is actually not in Seattle right now. The Tacoma team is out of state at the moment. They come back on Sunday, so it's most likely that he'll be available for Sunday or Monday game. But we have all of our guys coming back. We made a couple of big additions. I should say we made the one big addition. We made a couple of small additions. Jerry DePoto making it clear that they focused for their bats, improving on the margins, improving backup catcher, which is big. Someone who actually caught Luis Castillo, which is awesome because they know that they have big
Someone
bats.
who can actually catch.
Yeah. Although, to be honest, that last game, I couldn't really blame Terens for not catching. It's not like CB Buckner knew what a strike zone was in that game anyway. So I don't think he really affected the game at all on his own.
And just in general, Luis Terens, he's a DH guy, and unfortunately, he hasn't been hitting this year. And they needed some. I love the progress that Cal Raleigh has made, but he's going to wear out with the amount they've had to play him. So having a good backup catcher is key with the loss of Tom Murphy. So
100% agreed.
Wow.
And they made those moves. They got Lamb too, another guy that can fill in different spots. And with the amount of people they have coming back, they're looking really good. You know, Lewis is starting to heat up a little bit. I don't It's early to say on Kelnick. I imagine that they didn't want him up yet. I think that they only brought him up because of
They
the
had
Julio
to.
injury. They didn't know it was going to happen. They had to get someone in there. I think he might be sent back down until September call-ups personally.
Do you?
But their lineup could start looking really good here. Adam Frazier, so far for this month, is hitting like, what was it, 400 for the month of August?
That's obscene, Josh.
Yeah.
Come on.
The Slapton is going at it. We got the Slapton. We got the big dumper. Our guys are going out there and they're doing work. And I'm excited for what this team is doing. It seems this is the thing. This has not been the case in a long time. The Mariners' playoff hopes are in their own hands. That hasn't been the case. Think of to last
In your
year,
lifetime?
the playoff hopes were not in our own hands.
It hasn't
even
been like
if we
that in
won
your
that
freaking
Angels
lifetime,
series, we were
Josh.
dependent on others.
Not in your
It is in our
lifetime.
own hands. We can do this thing. It's awesome. I'm
And
here for
it is
And
really
frankly,
exciting.
if they don't make it now, it'll either be a colossal faceplant or there'll have been some significant injuries that we haven't seen yet. They have the easiest schedule in baseball going the rest of the way. They've gotten through some really brutal, tough parts of their schedule shorthanded. So now you're getting a team that's coming back to full strength. And other than this Yankees series and all their toughest games left, there's 10 games left that are tough and about 50 that they should win. You're not going to
I
win them
know
all,
it just gets your heart pumping. It is so exciting, and I love there's something very personal to me though about playing the Yankees. My dad was a Yankees fan, and then we go to Mariners games, and he'd still have his Yankees hat on. And true story, you guys may have heard this story before. So when I was a kid, every time the Yankees won, my dad would buy me a banana split. And I was freaking getting fat as a little kid. I was active. I played football, I played baseball, but I was getting fat. And just to put perspective to how exciting it is to have the Mariners win, he and my mom made a decision that how about we buy her a banana split every time the Mariners win? And I slimmed right down. So yeah. It's been
awesome.
it's been a hot
but
minute.
We have to talk about today, which is August 5th. You know what that means?
It's our photographer's birthday.
No, is it?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so what is August 5th?
August 5th is a Friday, and Fridays for Mariners is fireworks night.
Oh, yeah.
But it's fireworks night in a special way because the Mariners are playing the Angels. Now, if you recall back last month, there was a benches clear brawl to end all brawls. It was pretty awesome if you're into fun
hockey on the diamond.
Exactly, because you don't get to see that in baseball.
I know.
So the rematch, refacing the Angels.
So maybe we'll get some fireworks. Come on.
So I think
I want to see a red card.
I could go to the game tonight because it would be just amazing. It's going to be exciting, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I want to see a red card, man.
Yeah.
Any other big sports stories that came across your screen this week, guys, that you just have to share? Okay, then I think it's time for our
Final shot.
Speaking of, that came from Hamilton, which I went to see last night. Oh my gosh, it's phenomenal. It is just amazing. Just when you think of who we are as a nation, where we came from, what was fought for, it just reminds you of what a great place it is to play sports and to give our final shot, guys. We're going to go. Josh, you want a final shot first?
Sure, I'll final shot first. My final shot is going to be a campaign that I was going for last year that didn't happen, but should happen this year. I still think Scott Service should be manager of the year. This is one of the best managers in baseball. The way he handles the bullpen, we don't have a traditional closer, and that's not because we don't have people that have the talent to be a traditional closer. We don't have a traditional closer because he knows when to put these guys in the right spots so that they can succeed and so they have the best matchup.
Okay.
And look at the number of guys we have on the top strikeout list. Because I'll say this over and over again. The bullpen management is the biggest impact in the game that a manager has, is how you manage that bullpen, where you put those guys in those positions, when you know to take people out, put them in, slot them in. Seawald pitching in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 6th, depending on what the leverage situation is that you need him in. Same with Castillo when he's been healthy, Penn Murphy, Matt Bratt. He's using these guys well. And beyond that, he's created a great culture for this team. The other the cherry on top right now I want to talk about, though, is how about pinch hitting Ham Swaggerty for Jared Kelnick to get his 3rd home run of the year. Did he just know that was going to happen? My goodness, that was something else. Yeah, Scott.
Well, there's the lineup he had to patch together in the 9th inning at the game they won in Houston too, where they've got 3 guys playing positions they've never played.
Yeah. To be fair, Ty France has played second base before in the minors. That was his position, but yeah, he hasn't played it in years. And what was it? Did they have Adam Frazier, the Slapton, was out there playing in center field? Yeah, that was something else. That was something to behold. I remember he talked about after the game how he actually had to pull out a piece of paper and a pencil and draw out the diamond and be like, okay, who do we have right now? Kind of putting people places. Oh man, it was something else.
I love that.
Love it.
You know what? And true story, Josh really is an all-out Mariners fan for life, has been all of his life. I know that as a fact, but what's really cool is I was recently at his house one afternoon. The Mariners were playing. He's working. He's got this big setup, the biggest computer screen I have ever seen. And above it is a television screen. So he's got the Mariners going and playing, and it's totally cool. He's totally, so I'm sitting there having a beer, watching the game with him. It was absolutely glorious. So yeah, he lives it. And it's really exciting because they are America's underdog team. And so a lot of folks all over the nation, we get your emails and your messages that, yeah, I'm a Mariners fan this year. So it's pretty exciting. Garrick, while we still have you, because you're in and out, let's get your final shot, my friend.
My final shot is going to someone who was one of my best friends, and sadly I lost him this week, and it was my cat,
Tiger Lily.
I had no idea how much I loved this cat, but I had no idea how much that I would miss him. He was not well, but he had been at the vet's for a couple days, and we thought he was doing better, and then he took a turn for the worse, and we just lost him in a matter of hours, and it has been devastating. And I want to read to you a quote from C.S. Lewis. Brent actually got this the day that he died, and Brent, thank you for sending this over, but it says this: I will never laugh at anyone for grieving over a loved beast. I think God wants us to love him more, not to love creatures, even animals, less. We love everything in one way too much, i.e., at the expense of our love for God. But in another way, we love everything too little. No person, animal, flower, or even pebble has ever been loved too much, i.e., more than every one of God's works deserves. And so my final shot to you, my buddy, my office mate, my occasional guest on Sports Timeout, Tyga, aka Tyga Lily. I love you, I miss you, and you get my final shot.
I love that. I do love that. So go ahead, love your animals and love your pets and just love God more. That was a really good quote. I like that. Brent, your final shot.
It's weird because like the morning after you called me about that, Garrick, it actually just showed up in my email box. I was like, yeah,
Providence.
So that was cool. So I have a complete mood changer here. So how many of you have heard of Rich Ornberger?
Okay.
So he is the subject of the most ridiculous sports story I've heard in a while. And
what?
I mean, it's funny. Are you serious? So Rich Ornberger was a offensive lineman for the Patriots. I think he retired a few years ago, but he was telling a story that he actually, cell phone died at night, and he woke up and realized he was going to be late for practice. And he was so afraid of getting in trouble with Bill Belichick that as he was driving on his way to practice, he saw this old beat up church van and he ran into it on purpose and had a car accident so that he had an excuse for being late.
Oh my gosh, get out.
Yep. He said, I see this van in front of me. It's all dinged up. It's got the black smoke coming out of the exhaust pipe. I'm like, I'm going to hit this car. It's better to pay the insurance than embarrass myself by being late for a Patriots team meeting. He says, I didn't hit him hard, just enough to produce a slight dent and require obtaining vital proof of insurance for the crash.
Wow. Okay, that gets the award for how to get out of a meeting. Dang, seriously. All right, my final shot is going to go to Luke Weaver. He was traded from the Arizona Diamondbacks to the Royals just on Monday. I think it was for third baseman Emmanuel Rivera. But it's not just him, it's his glove that I want to give you a little look into. So, yeah, his glove. Take a look at this thing. It is a Bible glove. Seriously, it has a cross, a crown of thorns, the phrase His glory, and Bible verses like I can do all things through Him who gives me strength. With man, this is impossible. With God, all things are possible. And be on guard. Stand firm in the faith. Be courageous. Be strong. And of course, Luke dons this and he says, yep, I'm proud of it. I'm hoping that kids will pick it up and they can share their faith and get excited about who they are in Christ. And maybe it'll start a conversation. So the reason I wanted to bring that up, and that's my final shot, is because that's why we do what we do here on My Michelle Live. And I'm talking to you and I'm talking to y'all here on TikTok, that sports are great, but they're an analogy for life. The struggle, the hard work, the wins and the losses, and the final victory at the end when you hold up the cup or you don the Super Bowl ring. We're looking for a win that goes beyond this earth, that was bought with a price through our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And it's an exciting game to play. Even through the losses, you have a hope beyond this world. And that's what my final shot goes out to. And to the guys who've been on the team today. Let's see if we can get you back, because we just all went quiet for a second. There you are. Oh, and there's Tiger Lily. There's little picture of Tiger Lily. Yeah, he'll be missed from Sports Timeout because he would make either a verbal or a visual appearance. Thank you guys, and God bless you, and thank you for watching, for listening, for commenting, for sharing, and please subscribe and give a prayer for Garrick. He misses his cat. God bless you guys. Thank you so much.
For more fun, go to MyMichelleLive.com.
Yeah.